So let's say you want to use Turbo Authenticated and you want to see what other parameters you can add to this object in order to customize your Turbo instance as further as you can, in order to customize your Turbo instance as much as you can. So if you've watched some of the previous videos, you've probably see the signer, and this is mostly used in web browsers just because we have the injected wallets. So you can use signer here. You can use the RConnect signer. There is also an Ethereum signer. There is also another signer I've just forgotten, and you can use them in the browser. But for example, for Solana, you don't need to have signer this way. You can do, instead of signer, you can do wallet adapter, right? Wallet adapter, and wallet adapter for Solana is going to be window.solana. And also for Ethereum, you need to have the browser provider and then get the signer from there. And I've covered these different types of wallets with Turbo in a previous video that I published on my channel. So back here, you can have different ways. So I'm going to just stick to this RConnect signer as my signer, and this is going to be window.arweave wallet, right? And so the next thing is, if you're not in a browser environment and you're maybe in a node environment, there is this private key parameter that you can pass, and you have to pass your private key or your GWK in this case because I'm using RConnect. So you can also pass your Ethereum private key. You can also pass in your Solana private key using this private key property. And that is in the Node.js environment. But then let's get back here and add some couple of parameters that you might need to implement. And the rest of the parameters, unless I specify, they are both valid in the browser environment and the Node.js environment. So the next one you can pass in, I've already shown you signer, which is here. We looked at wallet adapter. We also looked at private key in a Node.js environment. The next one is going to be CURL. And the CURL is basically the compute unit that you want to use with your Turbo. And by default, I think uh, Turbo uses an hard drive compute URL. But if you want to use a different, or if you have your own, you can specify it here. I don't know if this exists, but I've just come up with that. And we can put it right there, right? By default, there are some parameters that are provided, but you can also decide to add your own. For example, you're running your own compute unit for your computer. You can put it there as well if you want to use it. And next, you can customize your gateway URL. There is a gateway URL parameter. And by default, there is one provided. But if, for example, you have your own gateway and you want to use your gateway, or if there is a gateway you trust and you want to use that, you are free to add that here and customize it. I always prefer the permagate gateway, right? Permagate.io. But then the RIO network provides more than 650 gateways, so you are free to use any if you want to do that customization. And if you are good with that default provided gateway URL, you can just leave that empty. But I just wanted you to know that you can customize that at some point. And so the next parameter we're going to look at is the token. And here's a list of tokens that are accepted by the Turbo instance. So we have RIO, Arweave, Base ETH, Base USDC, Ethereum, Kive, Matic, Polygon, Polygon USDC, Solana, and USDC, right? And this depends on the type of network you're going to use or the type of wallet you're going to use. So you can customize them to your needs. But for this case, I think since I'm just using window.arweave wallet, I can just stick to Arweave. And yeah, that's enough. But you don't always need to add these parameters because they have defaults that are provided, and those are more than enough for most of the use cases. But I just wanted you to be aware that there are extra parameters that you can customize depending on your needs or depending on what you want to do. So the next one we're going to see here is the payment service config. And this takes in also a couple of parameters. The first parameter that you can pass here is the URL, and this is going to be the URL to the payment service, right? There are APIs provided by the RIO team for payment. And also the next thing you can choose is the token, and this is the token that you want to pay with, right? You can do some type of customization here depending on your need and what tokens you want to use for the payment service. On top of that, we have another parameter, probably the last one. It's called upload service config. And this helps you configure the upload URL you want to use. So if I put here URL, right, you can just put, and by the way, I want to specify that I don't know if these ones exist. They're just being, I'm just putting them there as placeholders, right? So don't rely on these URLs. You can actually go to the docs at docs.ar.io to find the right URLs that can help you do the customization. These ones are just sort of placeholders to show you how far you can customize your Turbo instance. So after the URL, you can add the token, right? And again, the tokens are the same here as above. You can choose any token you want, and that token will be used for your upload service. So the upload service is to help you upload your data to Arweave. And by the way, if you don't have a very specific use case for these type of customization, I would just advise to use the default, because the defaults are solid enough to cover probably 99.99% of the use cases. So make sure you only try to customize this far if you know what you're doing and if you really want to use that customization. And again, you probably won't need to use all of these customization, and you might be good with the default, which is probably 90% of the cases. And with that said, that's it for this tutorial. See you in the next one.